The 1985 World Youth Championship for the FIFA Coca-Cola Cup is taking place in the Soviet Union. The opportunity to watch the most gifted young footballers in the under-19 equivalent of the World Cup. 3 important games in the group stages in today's programme, each country playing their second match in the tournament. From Group D, England against China, and from Group A, Hungary versus Tunisia. Both those games later, after our main feature, the Soviet Union with home advantage against Nigeria, an up-and-coming nation in youth football. And that match takes us here to the city of Minsk. Nigeria got off to a flying start in this competition. A goal after just 12 seconds in their opening game against Canada. And not surprisingly, this is an unchanged team. Monde Odiaka, the scorer of that amazing goal, stays in at number 9. But Samson Siasia, who came on to grab the second against Canada, remains amongst the substitutes. As for the Soviet Union, they drew their opening match 0-0 with Australia. So in comes number 15, Rolandas Bubliauskas, to try to pep up the attack. That's their only change. The Soviet Union very much the favourites to come through from Group C, but the top 2 go into the quarter-finals, and Nigeria gave a very good account of themselves against Canada. In fact, at this moment in time, they do top the group. But this will be a severe test for their young players. A genuine production line of young talent in the Soviet Union, although that doesn't seem to quite carry on to senior international level, where over the last 2 decades, really, the Soviet Union have not quite fulfilled their promise. The captain, Chedia, and at left back, Kolotovkin. And some rather lax marking right at the outset by the Nigerians, as Bubliauskas winning a starting place for this match. Almost caused great troubles for Aloy Agwu, Nigeria's goalkeeper, with a cross that just really needed somebody sliding in to provide the final touch. And Agwu with not the most convincing kick. Maybe a sign of early nerves there. It would be understandable. And it's an examination of temperament as much as talent, this type of tournament. Kolotovkin, Skliarov. The Soviet Union made plenty of chances against Australia, but their finishing was somewhat wayward. Today's referee, Jose Ramirez Wright, from Brazil. Waidi, and it's his throw, to be taken by Godwin Eke. So no repeat of that really exhilarating beginning against Canada, who actually had the kick-off and then lost possession, and one long pass sent Monde Odiaka sprinting through. Chedia. He's taking a while making up his mind. Finally hits the free kick long. Tatarchuk for number 10, just beaten to it. And it drifts behind, but twice in the opening 2 minutes. The Soviet Union have made progress down their left. Kudoshilov, Sergei Kudoshilov, the number 7. Nicely controlled by Michael Dominic. And a goal kick. The first time, really, that the Nigerians were getting numbers into the Soviet Union penalty area. And Kutapov to take the goal kick. It's quite a warm evening. As the sun goes down, it'll get a little cooler, obviously, and it's warming up for the Soviet Union at the moment. Agwu certainly in the firing line in the early attacks, but the shot again across the face of the goal from Bubliauskas. Nigeria here in the Soviet Union looking for a remarkable double, having recently in China become the world under-16 champions. And Shedia forced by Mark Anunoby to concede the corner. Worked short by Nigeria. Onye. And another corner. Again, the ball taken from the toe of Anunoby. As you can hear, the Nigerians come here with a certain amount of support. In a crowd, I would say, around the 25,000 mark. Most of the interest, of course, in the local team. The Soviet Union, who won at under-19 level in the inaugural competition in Tunisia in 1977. And then they were runners-up 2 years later to Argentina in Japan. And they defend a little tentatively. A weak header by Gorilyi. No Nigerian could get there first, although Odiako was coming in quickly. Given away by Michael Odu. Tatarchuk just delayed too long. The shot blocked by Andrew Uwe. And here's Anunoby. In many ways, the opening spell of this match similar to the way the Soviet Union started against Australia. Plenty of inventiveness. And this time it's Kudoshilov who just took too long with the final strike at goal. Waidi for Nigeria. And the shot from Igbinabaro. There's a nice air of free expression about the way Nigeria plays its football. A lot of individual talent. Maybe a little bit deficient from what we've seen so far in some aspects of team play. And that will be a free kick right on the edge. Uwe coming across and not having the speed to reach the ball. He brought Tatarchuk down and was very close indeed to giving away a penalty. But the danger for Agwu not over yet. The crowd getting behind the Soviet Union. You can see how close it was to being inside the penalty area. And that looked offside. Tovkin, who was up for the free kick. Given away by Anunobi. Tetashvili. They're passing the ball swiftly and accurately and supporting the man in possession well, the Soviet Union. Kudoshvilov, and now down goes Medved, and a penalty, no doubt, in the mind of the referee. And from our vantage point, despite the protest there from Uwe, who I think was the defender involved, it seemed a perfectly just decision. Medved suddenly found an extra gear of speed, and Uwe tripped him. Kudoshvilov to take the penalty against Aloy Agwu. He's certainly taking a long enough run. In it goes. The Soviet Union have their first goal of the tournament. It's come from the penalty spot. After 23 minutes of the first half of their second match, and after the trials of the goalless draw against Australia, how relieved the Russians will be to see that one go in. Sergei Kudoshvilov. Splendid tackle by Tetashvili. And a lovely turn by Tatarchuk. And there are problems here again for Nigeria. Kudoshvilov, in the euphoria, perhaps still of getting his name on the score sheet, suddenly found himself with half a chance to add to that. And just a little bit slow to react. Waidi for Nigeria. It'll be another free kick against Michael Dominic. Medved, whose acceleration caught out Uwe and company at the back in the episode that led to the penalty. Kudoshvilov being singled out for a word by the referee. And that was over the top of the ball. And a yellow card shown to Igbi Nabarro for a high tackle that has left Tetashvili down in pain. So far, the competition has been played in the very best of spirits. But the prizes at stake will inevitably lead to physical contact of a nature perhaps too strong for referees' liking. There's another little push on Tovkin. Off. Now Chedia. And they've got him behind the right back again. Three players waiting for the cross, and it was overhit. But it's an area of the defending for Nigeria that they have to improve if they're going to stay in this match. Must be half a dozen occasions now in the first half where the Soviet Union have got in down their left-hand side. In the end, overdone by Bubliauskas. Tartajuk. Nigeria took part in the last World Youth Championship in Mexico 2 years ago. Uwe, a giant figure at the back for Nigeria. And Unobi. And it's Chedia who won the ball and now sprints on and is onside. So Chedia is round the goalkeeper, and that's a brilliant piece of improvisation, a perfect counter-attack, and Nigeria were swept aside. Five minutes from half-time, and no wonder they're on their feet. Because if there seemed to be any danger, it was to the Soviet Union's goal until Chedia won the ball and immediately saw the possibilities, timed his run, kept his composure to go round a committed Agwu. All that was left was to roll it over the line. 2-0. Sometimes in world tournaments, the host nation finds itself under pressure that it can't cope with. The advantage over the years has worked so often when you think of Argentina winning the World Cup in '78, for example. But I well remember Spain in 1982 in the Senior World Cup being totally unable to live with what was expected of them. And there was just a feeling that the Soviet Union under-19 team were beginning to experience some of that pressure after only drawing with Australia. But that's all behind them now, as we come inside the final minute of a first half, which they have played by far the more inventive football. CSR. At half-time, the Soviet Union lead 2-0, and they've adorned the competition with one of its best goals so far from Chedia. So Nigeria with a problem or two in this second half, and a bright start to it that recalled memories of their 12-second goal against Canada from a kickoff at the very start of that match. But they badly need to make inroads into this 2-goal deficit here in Minsk. Samson Siasia brought on in the first half, so there's only the option of one more substitute for the coach, Paul Hamilton. Tucked away by Chedia. And Unobi, who's looked as lively as anyone for Nigeria. Uwe, the captain. Waidi. And here's Waidi again. It's a good effort. A good 30 yards out. No shortage of power, but not the direction to trouble Kutupov. Although when it left Waidi's foot, it might have given cause for an alarm or two for the goalkeeper, but I think in the end, there was just a little bit of slice on the shot that took it wide. Well hit. Uwe went in bravely and got a blow in the face for his pains. Flicked on, though, by Medved. Tatarchuk, whose direct running certainly unsettled Nigeria at the start. It is the one real quality necessary for top-class football these days, is speed. It's become much more of an athletic pursuit in the widest sense, the game of football in the last 20 years or so. And sometimes the game suffers for its players being athletes first and footballers second. There was a time when players really were only picked for their skill, and if they couldn't quite run as fast as somebody else, that didn't matter too much. But football in 1985 is a very fast game indeed. Michael Odu had run into trouble, helped out by Waidi, then by Uwe. Having set their standards in the first 45 minutes, the Soviet Union not quite supplying what the spectators want so far in the second half, which has almost run a quarter of an hour as Oleg Kuzev takes over from Ivanauskas. Been a series of stops and starts which haven't helped the flow of the game. Medved stopped by Dominic. Medved again. Here's Tatarchuk. Well, it was certainly worth a crack. And Nigeria used their second substitute, P.1-3. And the player who's come off is Monde Odiaka, who in a matter of days goes from the heights of that 12-second goal against Canada to the desolation which I'm sure he feels of being substituted. But this very much a tournament where depth in a squad is important. The matches come very quickly, not much time to recover in between. And each country allowed to bring a squad of 18 players here. Good advantage played by the Brazilian referee. Tatarchuk joined in the middle by Kuroshilov, but on this occasion, Bubliauskas couldn't provide the cross. The sweeper, Chedia, whose goal really was a perfect example of how being a sweeper is not just a defensive job. Nice turn here by Khrushchev. And he's making things happen until a good sliding challenge on the edge of the area by Odu. the second substitute, P.1-3. And Samson Siasia claiming that his shirt was being pulled, but he got no sympathy from the referee. Dominic. There's certainly no loss of confidence from Nigeria. They've set out their stall in the second half. They've been more positive, but they've lost out here through Pi. And Medvid has already proved in this match that you must not let him run at your defenders. Who were spoken to by the referee for the foul. And Waida having his say as well. And Waidi is shown the yellow card for dissent. It was a remark in passing, but it was too close to the referee to speak out of turn. Tatachuk. And Odu brings him down. It's been a feature of the Soviet Union's play throughout this match that they do have a number of individuals who aren't afraid to go directly for the heart of Nigeria's defence. 15 minutes left. And an opportunity here for the Soviet Union to surely put this match beyond Nigeria's reach. The shot finally from Skliarov, and it's a corner. Oleg Skliarov operating in midfield. Before the competition began, the Soviet Union and the holders Brazil were really marked down as the favourites. That will be another corner. Kudoshilov to try it a second time. Looking for Tatachuk coming in towards the near post. Medvid. Kudoshilov. And that's a splendid effort from Kushlev. Bugliauskas was there as well, the number 15, but the original cross was aimed towards him. When it dropped off the defender's head, you can see now what good technique Oleg Kushlev showed with a really awkward dropping ball as he was challenged. Did very well to get it close. Anunoby. The Russians in no hurry at all. Kadashvili with the throw. On from Kudoshilov, whose penalty very much set the mood. Had that not been converted, I just wonder quite how the Soviet Union would have reacted. There were signs that the crowd were getting disenchanted with their lack of finishing ability up to that point, although they were dominating the stage. But all is well with the home side at the moment. Nicely cut out by Eke, but it was but A temporary reprieve, and Medved can keep the pressure on. And very well hit. Skliarov came in. Shots raining in at the Nigerian goal from all distances and all angles. Another excellent volley. Chedia's pass. And Medved a little annoyed. A second substitution with 11 minutes left. Sergei Savchenko, who started the opening match against Australia, but lost his place in the starting lineup to Bubliauskas, comes on now for Tatarchuk. So a bit of clever thinking by the Soviet coach, Boris Ignatieff. He's put in a player who's got a point to prove and might just sustain the Soviet effort in the last 10 minutes or so.
In the USSR national,
The substitutions announced here in Russian and in English. Here's Anunoby taking on Chedia and scoring a quite tremendous goal. Well, we might yet have a finish. Just under 10 minutes remaining on my watch, and the crowd really appreciating, even though it scored against the home team, the quality of the shooting there from Anunoby. Chedia, the sweeper, had come across and really thought he was just holding up his opponent and forcing him wide. The angle got tighter, but he just battered it into the top of the net. Nigeria sensing all sorts of possibilities now. Anunoby again. Out by Gorilyi. Now the main problem for Nigeria is to make sure the players keep their composure. Obviously now everyone alive and alert, sensing the chance of pegging back the host nation. And suddenly the smiles on the Russian faces have gone away. They know there's a battle on their hands here. Uwe just saying, chase that. Chedia kept his eye on the ball very efficiently, but it's Dominic for Nigeria. Siesia trying to make something happen with a back header. It's a corner. And some nerve ends are jangling out there now. Chedia, the captain, and his goalkeeper, Kutapov, are vital men for the Soviet Union here. And coming in for the header was Odu. It was a chance. No question about that. Making a late run and undetected by some shoddy Russian marking. Medved. Bubliauskas tries one himself. Agru got behind it, but his main task now is to switch the ball forward as quickly as possible. The header from Kolotovkin. Push left, and Uwe just stretched out a leg in time. That should be a free kick to Nigeria. Siasia, the player, fouled, and you can see how edgy the Soviet Union has become with the ball just knocked away. Trying to stop the free kick to be taken quickly, and here's Kushlev. He's done well since he's come on. He's done very well. And he was balked there by Uwe. And all that adds to the time. And I don't think you'll find the Russian boys in too much of a hurry to take this free kick. Ketashvili and Skliarov have been involved at most of the set plays. They're there again. Ketashvili, the number 2. He takes it. The wall stands firm, and an offside given. Away by Chedia. They've held on to win it. The Soviet Union by 2-1 against a spirited effort from Nigeria. So the Soviet Union go to the top of Group C. Our next match after the break is Hungary against Tunisia.